What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be doing the 2021 Daytona 500 starting lineup for you guys. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. I'm going to go through the starting lineup and then tell you which drivers are the favorite and all the storylines going into this event. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Starting on the front row for this year's Daytona 500 to the qualifier on the front row. Starting on the pole will be Alex Bowman, and on the outside is going to be William Byron. Starting on row number 2, you will have Eric Almirola, and on his outside will be 2018 Daytona 500 champion Austin Dillon. Starting in row number 3, in 5th, you will have Christopher Bell, and in 6th, Bubba Wallace at the new 2311 Racing. Starting in row number 4, in 7th place, you'll have Ryan Newman, and in 8th, 2007 Daytona 500 champion Kevin Harvick. Starting 9th in this year's Daytona 500 is going to be 2015 Daytona 500 champion Joey Logano, and in 10th, two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion in 2015 and 2019, Kyle Busch. Starting in row number 6 and 11th spot, you'll have Ryan Preece, who is able to qualify his way into the show in 2020 and defending NASCAR Cup Series champion Chase Elliott. Starting in 13th will be Kyle Larson. On his outside, Ryan Blaney in 14th. Starting 15th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Daniel Suarez. And on his outside, in 16th, you will have Corey LaJoie. Starting 17th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Michael McDowell. On his outside, winner at Daytona 2011 in the Coke 0400, David Reagan. Starting 19th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have 2010 champion of the race, Jay McMurray. And on his outside, 2017 Daytona 500 winner, Kurt Busch. Starting 21st in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and on his outside, you will have Chris Buescher. Starting 23rd in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Matt DiBenedetto, and on his outside in 24th, you will have Brad Keselowski. Starting 25th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have three-time Daytona 500 winner and a driver looking to be the first driver to win 3 Daytona 500s in a row, Denny Hamlin. And starting 26th will be the driver that Denny Hamlin beat in a close finish in 2016, Martin Truex Jr. Starting 27th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have 2020 Rookie of the Year, Cole Custer, and on his outside in 28th, you will have Joey Gase in his first ever Daytona 500. Starting 29th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Tyler Reddick, and on his outside in 30th, you will have 2021 contender for the Rookie of the Year honors, Chase Briscoe. Starting 31st in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Eric Jones, and on his outside, you will have 1990 Daytona 500 champion Derek Cope. Starting 33rd in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Quinn Houff, and on his outside, you will have Ross Chastain in 34th. Starting 35th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Cody Ware, and starting 36th will be Anthony Alfredo. Starting in 37th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have Josh Bilicki, and starting 38th will be BJ McLeod. Starting 39th in this year's Daytona 500, you will have rookie and making his NASCAR Cup Series debut, Austin Cindric. And starting last in this year's Daytona 500 in 40th, you are going to have Kaz Grala, who will round out the field for this year's Daytona 500. Now, a lot of things to know for this year's Daytona 500. Quite a few drivers are going to be going to backup cars and will start at the rear, including the driver who starts second in this year's Daytona 500, William Byron. He goes to a backup car. He will start at the rear. That means that Austin Dillon will move up to the front row for this event. And it's also potential that Alex Bowman could also end up going to the back as well if they do not resolve their engine issues. Other drivers that will be going to backup cars include Brad Keselowski, Cole Custer, Chase Briscoe, and among many others, including Anthony Alfredo, will all have to go to the back of the field and start at the tail. And some of those guys farther back will move up closer to the front of this field. So now I'm going to tell you which drivers that you need to watch for this year's Daytona 500. I definitely would keep an eye on both of the front row guys. They're starting in the front row. Alex Bowman and William Byron, definitely. William Byron's car in the second duel last night, he was extremely fast. He had the best car overall before wrecking out. He dominated the early portions of the second duel. I definitely keep an eye. And he's also defending winner at Daytona as he won the 2020 Coke Zero Sugar 400. I definitely would keep an eye on William Byron as one of the favorites to win this year's Daytona 500. Eric Almirola is another guy you need to keep an eye out on. He's been really fast. Was really fast qualifying. Qualified third, and then he ended up winning his duel. He will start third in this year's Daytona 500. And the next one, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon also looks really, really fast, and he is a defending winner of this year's Daytona 500. Keep an eye on Austin Dillon to be a contender for many races this year, but also a contender for this year's Daytona 500. Bubba Wallace. This is one of the guys that I think is arguably one of the favorites to win this year's Daytona 500. Bubba Wallace's fastest in Daytona 500 practice on Wednesday. He qualified 4th into this race. Looked like he almost was going to win his duel, but got beat by Austin Dillon and ended up finishing 2nd in the duel. Bubba Wallace's car is really, really fast, and he made a lot of mistakes in his duel, but he drove all the way back up to the front, and I think Bubba Wallace is a driver that you definitely need to watch out for in this event. Joey Logano. While Joey Logano was not as competitive in this past duel, Logano's cars are generally really, really fast. I think Joey Logano is going to be a contender throughout the event. Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's car might be set up a little more for the race. He was up in the top 5 at the beginning of the run, but he kind of fell back as the race goes on. But Chase Elliott's luck at Daytona is not the greatest, but I think this time he could turn around. I think he's a favorite to win the 500. Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney the last couple years has been really close to winning this year's Daytona 500, and I definitely think Ryan Blaney could arguably be a threat for many of you if you're watching Daytona 500 first time. Ryan Blaney's a guy that I definitely think you need to keep an eye on for this year's Daytona 500. Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski is a veteran, a guy who's won many, many Super Speedway races. He does have one win at Daytona National Speedway back in 2016. He will be a guy that I think a lot of people are going to need to watch out for in this year's Daytona 500 if he can survive the big one. Again, his luck at Daytona is not the greatest, but I think he will be a threat throughout the day. Denny Hamlin. Even though Denny Hamlin starts all the way back in 25th position, remember, he has won the last 2 straight Daytona 500s. And it doesn't matter on where you start in this year's Daytona 500. It is where you finish in this year's Daytona 500. So to me, Denny Hamlin is still the favorite going to this event. He's looking to make history, like I mentioned earlier. He's looking to make history this year and go for 3 in a row in this year's Daytona 500. He's a guy that I definitely think you need to watch out for. Other drivers I think you really need to keep an eye on. I think Daniel Suarez with the new Trackhouse organization. His car has looked pretty fast. Qualified 10th in the event, and he looked decently racy in the event as well, and he's looked pretty fast. And I think Daniel Suarez could be also a threat to win this year's Daytona 500. So now I'm going to overall tell you who I think is going to win this year's Daytona 500. I already did a predictions on it, so you want to go check that out where I talked about which drivers are to watch out for. But my prediction to win this year's Daytona 500 is going to be Denny Hamlin. I think Denny Hamlin makes history this year. I think he will be the first driver in the history of Daytona 500, in the 62 illustrious history of the Daytona 500. He is going to win his 3rd straight Daytona 500 and win his 4th overall Daytona 500. I believe will only become the 2nd driver to win 4 Daytona 500s. I don't remember if Kerry Yarborough got 4 wins. I know Petty's got 7. And he's looking to do that and make history and get his 4th Daytona 500 win in his NASCAR Cup Series career and continue a Daytona 500 legacy. And maybe him and Bubba will also be your front row finishers, the top 2 finishers as well. So, anyway, that is your 2021 Daytona 500 starting lineup video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications so you get me notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links in the description below for that. And combo your picks as well on today's race. Who do you think is going to win the 2021 Daytona 500? And what do you believe the top 5 finishing order is going to be for the Daytona 500? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like so YouTube can recommend more of these great videos as well. I might be starting to do some more of these starting lineup videos in the foreseeable future. I might become the guy who does starting lineup videos in the future. Who really knows? But that is starting line for this year's Daytona 500 once again. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.